three of us, the three authors, felt that corporate governance is a topic that is ever changing and evolving. I think it's timely within the current landscape to have a relook at corporate governance in Malaysia. But more importantly, for this book, we're looking at corporate governance coupled with the issue of ethics. To us, having a code of corporate governance, for example, is more like a hardware, but ethics is the software. It would not be efficient without ethics being embedded in the codes of corporate governance generally.
For me, the law reform work that I do with public sector institutions such as federal and state ministries, agencies, statutory bodies, and even local authorities have given practical insights into the state of corporate governance practices within the government. Several of my observations include: number one, a lack of literature that is publicly available on the governance framework of public sector institutions. Number two, little understanding on the extent and degree of corporate governance implemented. Number three, given the dynamic and varying structures of these institutions, there is no one-size-fits-all solution for governance reform. And number four, the opportunity to enhance governance by adopting the whole-of-government approach in involving the civil service towards a more holistic and inclusive reform.
The book basically traces the origins and concept of corporate governance globally. It also discusses some of the case studies relating to corporate governance that has occurred in Malaysia, particularly the 1MDB case, from a corporate governance perspective. We also basically looked into the concept of the need to have a code of public governance. Corporate governance in general, the corporate sector is quite established and is something that a lot of the corporate sector are aware of. I think we're quite advanced in that sense, but for the public sector, that needs to be addressed, and we advocated the concept of establishing a code of public governance to govern the public institutions. Another aspect that we basically discussed, and we did a review globally, that maybe is timely for us in Malaysia, either the corporate sector or for the government, to look into the setting up of a center for ethics, to look into the teaching of ethics at schools and universities, and ethics as a concept that needs to be understood by the human resource generally, by the employers and employees, so that a center of ethics can do research on it and can even have, like for example, the one in other countries, people can even have a hotline to call to ask for questions and to get guidance on what ethical issues, to resolve ethical questions that are embedded in their mind as time goes on. So this is something that we feel Malaysia should aspire to transform into a country that understands code of corporate and public governance, as well as ethics being an integral part of society.
During the process of writing this book, we realized that most guiding documents in relation to corporate governance are applicable to mostly large corporations who are already governed by prescriptive requirements by the respective regulators, and therefore we actually took a grassroots approach in writing the content of this book, and we wanted to make it more relatable to the general public. Therefore, we do feel that this book could be applicable and relatable to not just employers and directors, but also to general practitioners and even young students and graduates who are interested to understand and pursue the subject of corporate governance and ethics on a more holistic level.